It all began with an unusual mist over Forks. It wasn't the typical fog that Bella Swan had already learned to accept as part of the town's oppressive atmosphere. This one was thicker, heavier, as if something was watching. Edward noticed it first. There's a vampire in the area, one I don't know. Bella looked up from the book she was holding. One of the nomads, like James? Edward slowly shook his head. No, not the same. It's like he doesn't want to be seen, like he's waiting. In the days that followed, Alice began to have fragmented visions, dark, hazy, unfixed, a face she couldn't quite see, an aura that reminded her of fire and ice at the same time, but she couldn't focus on it. And that, for Alice, was a clear sign that something very dangerous was coming. The first time Bella saw him was in the school parking lot. He was standing between the trees, still as a statue, wearing a long trench coat that seemed to move even when there was no wind. He didn't look at her like a predator. He looked at her like he already knew her, as if he had already decided something about her. And his eyes, they weren't golden, they weren't red, they were ash gray, like a storm held back. Who is he? Bella asked that same night, on the edge of worry. Edward frowned. He calls himself Lucien. Carlyle knew the name, and that was the most unsettling part. He lived among the European clans for centuries. No one knows exactly which coven he comes from. He has no territory, forms no alliances. He just appears. And what does he want? Emmett asked. Carlyle lowered his voice as if afraid Lucien could hear him from miles away. Always the same. He becomes obsessed with a human, follows them, studies them, and if he gets the chance, he turns them. Rosalie had whispered then, looking at Bella with a mix of disdain and pity. He has a type. Edward said nothing, but his jaw was so tight, if he still had blood, a vein would have popped in his neck. Lucien didn't approach, didn't speak, didn't introduce himself, but he was always there, at the edge of the school, between the forest trees when Bella went out with Jacob, at the crossroads near Charlie's house, always, watching. And then he started leaving things. A white rose on her bedroom window, an old French poetry book on her car seat, a note, written in flawless calligraphy. I don't want to take you, I just want you to choose, and to choose me. Bella was terrified, not just from physical fear, though she felt it, but something deeper, because when she looked at him, even from afar, there was something magnetic about him. Not the teenage crush type, not butterflies in the stomach love, something else. A fascination she couldn't explain, as if Lucien knew a part of her not even Edward could reach. And that confused her the most, because she loved Edward, she knew it. So why was she dreaming about Lucien? Why, when she read the poems he left, did she feel understood? And then one night, Lucien appeared. He was in her room when he showed up. She didn't hear him come in. He was just there, standing, still, with the saddest eyes she'd ever seen. I'm not going to hurt you, he said softly, like a secret. Bella was breathless. He was beautiful, but not like Edward. Lucien had the beauty of something ancient, something that had loved and lost so many times it no longer resisted the pain. What do you want from me? Lucien tilted his head. What does a lonely one want from a star that shines in his darkness? Just not to stop looking at her. That's not love, Bella said, trying to sound firm. Lucien stepped forward. What if love isn't always gentle? What if it burns? What if it simply consumes? Edward appeared seconds later. Lucien wasn't surprised. I knew you'd come. Stay away from her. Bella didn't recognize Edward's voice. It wasn't jealousy. It wasn't possessiveness. It was fear. And Lucien smiled. Are you afraid of losing her, Edward? Or afraid she'll see something in me you can't offer? Edward lunged him without thinking, and in a blink, the room erupted into a silent, brutal confrontation. Bella could barely see them. They moved like fast shadows, slicing through the air, crashing into walls without leaving marks. Until finally, Lucien stopped. He was bleeding, slightly, but he was smiling. I won't fight for her like an animal. He looked at her. I wait. I always wait, because sooner or later, everyone sees what eternal love is made of. And he vanished, didn't flee, just disappeared. The Cullens reinforced security. Alice couldn't see Lucien clearly. Jasper could barely track him. But Bella started to feel him, in her dreams, in her chest, in her shadow. And Edward's greatest fear was no longer that Lucien would take her, but that Bella would go willingly. Winter had come to Forks. Snow blanketed the rooftops. The forest was silent. and the gray sky seemed motionless. But inside Bella Swan, everything was chaos. Lucien hadn't appeared in weeks. No more notes, no more roses, no more visits. And yet, he was still there. Edward could feel him. Alice saw him in fragments, like a stubborn echo in her visions, impossible to fully silence. Bella dreamed of him, and in those dreams she said yes. "You have to tell me the truth." Edward asked one night under the porch as snow fell softly around them. Bella looked down. "I love you. Always." Edward looked at her with his golden eyes, full of fear and tenderness. But she didn't answer right away, because she didn't want to say it, because she feared that saying it would make it real. "There's a part of me that understands what he is, what he feels." Edward nodded, deep sadness on his face. "He represents what I didn't want for you, what I tried to avoid, eternity without restraint. And you gave me a choice, and he wants to take it away." But the choice once again was beginning to fade. Lucien returned, but not alone. He brought others with him. They weren't a guard, they weren't allies. They were specters like him, wanderers who followed him not out of power but devotion. And one by one they began to appear at the edges of forks. They watched, they stalked, they waited. "What's he doing?" Emmett asked, furious. "He's setting a stage," said Carlyle. "He's building pressure. He won't take her by force. Not yet. He wants her to choose him." Edward didn't sleep, didn't hunt, didn't eat, only watched. Bella felt it too. Her heart belonged to Edward, but something inside her, something dark and ancient she didn't know existed, responded to Lucien, and that terrified her more than any vampire. And then, one night, Lucien waited for her, in the clearing where James once tried to kill her years ago. In the same place where she almost lost her life, now, a different fate awaited. "Why here?" Bella asked, her voice trembling. Lucien walked slowly toward her, not with menace, but with reverence. "Because this was the place where you discovered you were mortal," he paused, "and I've come to offer you the opposite." Bella stepped back half a step. "You can't take the choice from me." "No, but I can convince you." He looked at her intensely. "Edward loves your humanity. I respect it. But I love you beyond it. He fights to keep you in the world. I want you as you're meant to be." Bella felt the storm inside her chest. He spoke with the voice of desire, of infinity, of the abyss, and for a single terrifying instant, she believed him. Edward arrived. He stepped out from the trees, his face tense, fists clenched. He didn't attack. He didn't shout. He just looked at Bella, and in that moment, he didn't ask her to choose him. He only said, "If you love him more, go with him." Lucien tilted his head. Brave, but naive. Bella closed her eyes, and in that moment, she saw everything. Her human life, the days in class, the nights with Charlie, Jacob's laughter, Edward's gaze. The first time Renesmee moved her hand inside her womb, and then she opened her eyes. She looked at Lucien, unafraid, and whispered, "I already have the eternity I want." Lucien took a step back. For the first time, his expression changed. Delirium, pain, defeat. "You don't understand. You are like me." Bella softly shook her head. "No, I'm like me, and I chose." Lucien vanished. He didn't run. He faded, like a nightmare at dawn, and with him, the others disappeared. No violence, no screams, only silence. And in that clearing, as the mist lifted, Bella turned back to Edward. "I doubted," she confessed. "But in the end, what ties me to you is real." Edward smiled, tired but whole. "That's all I needed to know." And as they embraced beneath Fork's gray sky, Bella thought that maybe love wasn't choosing between darkness and light, but knowing which shadow to hold on to when everything else tries to consume you. And she had finally chosen.